Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. Don't you love maintenance? I love maintenance. JK, I hate maintenance. This maintenance is taking forever. But I wanted to make this video real quick to give you guys some tips on Challenger's World that I thought of that will probably help you guys out, especially during the very early game of Challenger's World. I've been getting a ton of questions about it, and hey, I just so happen to be somebody who's really good at starting over. So definitely take it from me. I'm gonna give you guys some really good advice on starting a brand new world when you have nothing, what to do, how to get mesos, what character to pick, all that type of stuff. Of course, if you enjoyed this video, definitely be sure to subscribe. It's the best way of supporting the YouTube, and come to the live stream where you could see me play on Challenger's World and do many other things. You don't want to miss out right after maintenance as well. And of course, share the Discord if you have any questions. There's plenty of helpful people in there. So the thing that I want to focus on in particular is Challenger World, the very early game progression, and in particular, heroic Challenger's World. So yes, we know that Challenger's World is going to give you buffs, right? Because there's no links in Legion, so you're getting an XP buff, damage buffs, and everything like that. But at the end of the day, the early game is still going to be pretty tough because you still don't have a lot of damage. You're not going to have a lot of gear or anything like that. Now, your main burning character will be stronger, obviously, because it's burning. You're going to get symbols, you're going to get nodes, probably item burning gear as well. All of those things will make that character stronger, but we still need to figure out how we're going to get mesos and how we're going to get past that. Because if we want to reach the emerald or diamond tier, we're going to have to do some serious bossing. We're going to have to get strong enough to the point where we can probably solo H-Lomian and party C10 and all these types of bosses. But getting to that point, obviously you could do a lot of it through dailies, right? Dailies is going to give you fragments and power, but we're probably going to want to get some mesos as well. So this is what I made. I made this spreadsheet that has rough meso calculations for daily bossing and weekly bossing, especially for week 1. I calculated that you can get around 5 billion mesos, maybe even more, within the first week of playing the game. So with your main burn, you're definitely going to be able to do at least up to normal Lomian for sure, without a doubt, because you have the burning character stats and stuff like that. So you'll be able to do at least up to normal Lomian for weeklies and get like 1.4 billion from that. But what I also thought about is if you can duo some of the weekly bosses, you can get around 500 million mesos from that. Now, the burning world comes with 3 extra terra burned characters as well. So you can get 3 additional characters in the Challenger's World to level 200. And you and a friend, if possible, can do these weekly bosses together and get an additional 500 million mesos per character. There's also the daily boss crystals. So all of the daily bosses, things like normal Zac, normal Magnus, normal Root Abyss, and so on. If you do those, you'll get an additional 100 bill mesos every day per character. There's also Ursus. If you do it every day, you'll get around 700 mil a week. There's also MapleStory. Especially if you pay for it, you can get 1.2 billion mesos every week from that. If you don't pay for it, it's around like 250 million mesos. So what I calculated is if you have your main and you have one side character that you do all the weekly bosses with and you do the daily bosses with on your main and side character, you'll get around 2.1 bill. If you have 2 side characters, you'll get around 2.7. If you have 3 side characters, you'll get around 3.3. Plus Ursus, plus MapleStory. If you do that, you can get around 5 bill mesos. But this is pretty sweaty though. Like, this is not something that I think a lot of people would do, to be honest with you, because it is a decent amount of effort. Like, you have to sit through the weekly bosses at really low damage. Not everybody wants to do that. But I still want to share this with you guys for people who do want to sweat, for people who do want to progress as fast as possible. I think this is a very good way of progressing. And if you really like sweat it out, you'll probably be able to do some of the weekly bosses solo, even on your side characters at level 200, like Hard Hilla, for example, and just get a little bit of extra money. So now the question is, what do you even do with this mesos in early game? Do you upgrade your gear? What do you do, right? Now, in my opinion, I think one of the best things that you should do with your early game mesos is make some drop gear. Now, it's going to be dependent on how you want to go about Challenger's World. If you're doing dailies only on Challenger's World, like you're not going to be grinding much, you're just doing dailies, I think just getting drop gear is really good. Like 1 line of drop across your accessories and trying to work on that. That way, when you do stuff like Golux daily, Arcarium daily, Pigby daily, the likelihood of you getting drops increases a lot, which that's going to be very good for your character's progression. But if you do want to sweat Challengers World, let's say you want to get to like Diamond or something where you're probably going to have to farm your character somewhat, or you're going to want to hit these like higher level missions, you're definitely going to want to use your early game Meso within the first 2 weeks to get Meso drop gear. It's very, very important to do that. I know there's a Shining Star Force on June 29th, but if you really think about it, when you're on a brand new world, there isn't much gear that you can even Star Force anyways, especially past 17, because Star Forcing is not only about the event and how many Mesos you have, it's also about how many spares of items that you have. And since you're only going to be playing for like 2 weeks before Shining Star Force, there's not that many spares you can accumulate regardless. So I would say getting drop gear if you're doing dailies is really good with your early game Mesos, and getting Meso and drop gear is really good if you're actually going to start farming. Now, speaking of farming, let's talk about the Vac Pet, because there's a Vac Pet that's available for Challenger World only. Now, should you buy this? Should you buy this Vac Pet? There's a few situations that I would recommend buying this Vac Pet. First of all, if you're farming on the Challengers World, obviously, right? If you're going to be farming and you're going to be training, you're definitely going to want the Vac Pet. It's going to make your rates go up way higher, and it's pretty important to get. The second thing is if the Challenger World burn is your main. If it's going to be your main character and you don't have a Vac Pet already on whatever server you play on, then you definitely should get this Vac Pet, because whenever you world lead back to your main world, you're going to need the Vac Pet with you to continue your progression. Now, if you're somebody who's just doing dailies on your Challenger World progression, like for me, I'm probably mostly just going to do dailies. I'm not sure if I'm going to get this Vac Pet or if I would recommend it to others, because if you're just doing dailies, you're not really training that much. You're probably not going to get too many Mesos from doing your dailies, so I don't think it's really necessary. Just a bunch of regular pets would probably be good enough. Now, I do want to say that on my stream, we will be doing Vac Pet giveaways, so you definitely want to pull up, because every single time there's a Vac Pet that comes out, I always do giveaways. It's just a way to give back to people, because these things are really expensive. Like, especially if you're somebody who's not in the US, for example. Like, I know players from Brazil where this Vac Pet costs them like their entire month's rent just to get the Vac Pet, which is crazy. Like, it's just so expensive, and it doesn't have like localized pricing for this game. So stuff like Vac Pets are just ridiculously expensive. So I like to try and give people some Vac Pets through giveaways. Now, I wrote down some dailies that I think are very, very important that you should be doing on the Challenger World character as early as possible. So of course, Ursus and MapleStory are very good for Mesos. Monster Park, you want to stack as many boxes as possible since you're playing on 2 different worlds. It's very beneficial to do this. Arcane River and Grandis dailies for symbols, of course, they give you a lot of XP, they make you stronger. And then Urder Quest after your level 260 for fragments. Golux every day if possible, even if you have to duo Helix or trio Helix, you definitely want to do it for the coins at least every single day. Arcarium, you want to do it. Chance for Dominator Pendant is huge. Pink Bean, you want to do it every day for the Pink Bean belts or Black Bean marks. The rest of the daily bosses, this is just for Mesos. Threads of Fate, since you're probably going to have to do this entire prequest again, this is definitely something that's very sweaty. But if you do end up doing it on Challenger World, especially if the burning character is your main, you probably should do it. And then Commercy, this is optional. It can help you with some gearing progression along the way, but you don't necessarily have to do this because you get a lot of power increase from playing on the Challenger World, especially from getting those level 4 rings that you get from reaching gold. You'll get the level 4 ring. This is a huge power increase, so you might not need the Commercy gear anyways. And then another one that's also very important is all the event dailies. So whatever event dailies are going on, whether it's, you know, checking in, killing 2,000 mobs a week, stuff like that, definitely do those. Those are going to be very, very, very important too. Let me know if there's any other dailies that I missed. Definitely leave a comment down below, or if you have any other advice for early game progression on the Challengers World as well. The last thing that I want to talk to you guys about is recommendations for classes, because people keep asking me, what do I play? What do I play? Make a Challengers World tier list or anything like that. So the first thing that I want to mention is you need to ask yourself, why are you even playing on Challengers World, right? You're either playing on Challengers World to make a new main, right? Or it's your first time playing the game and it's your main, like you want to make a main character, or you're playing on the Challengers World to make a strong side character. So what that means is the character that you should play is something that you are interested in, because whatever character that comes out of Challenger World is a character that's going to be on your account and you're going to be playing on for probably years to come. So you definitely want to make sure it's something that you are interested in. It doesn't necessarily matter if the character is good in the meta or anything, because it's something that's going to be on your account for a very long time. So you have to be interested in the class, right? But I do want to show you guys some classes that I do think are really good, especially in the early game, because they one-shot mobs very easily. Because there's a maintenance, I don't have access to the character selection screen, so I loaded up the Korean world so I can show you guys the character selection screen. It doesn't Len look so sick. I can't wait for her to come out. Unfortunately, you can't make her in this patch, so I don't want to confuse anyone. Anyways, so my go-to recommendations for classes that are very easy to one-shot with, especially in the early game. Number one, I gotta say Ho Young. Now, this isn't in any particular order. These are just classes that I would generally recommend that are very good at training and are really easy to one-shot with. So Ho Young, I think, is a great pick if you're looking for something to train very effectively with at low damage and is a good class. Same with Kane. Kane is also a great pick. Very easy one-shots and a very good class. Kinesis is also very, very easy to one-shot with, but is not in the meta right now. It is going to get better in the future, but if you really care about the meta, like, no, like, I don't want to play anything that's not meta, then I guess don't play it. But it is very good and easy to train with. Shadower is also a very good option. It is good in the meta. It's a pretty good class, and it also has the bonus Meso passive, which means that you're going to get extra Mesos over every other class in the whole game, so your early game progression will be a little bit faster. Marksman is also very easy to one-shot with as well and has very good training if you want to play an archer. But like I mentioned before, you can literally play any class on this world and you will be fine. Maybe the early game will have slight variations because different classes one-shot, easier than others. But ultimately, in the end, you're all going to be one-shotting regardless, right? So you should really just pick something you're interested in. Like, look at me, I'm picking Blaze Wizard. Who knew this day would come, huh? Anyways, I appreciate you guys so much for watching. If you have any questions or advice, definitely leave a comment down below. If you're very excited for the patch, pull up to the live stream. It's going to be very, very fun. And with that all being said, thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day. Shout out to my members, Blazefire, Shooms, Shagad, Ravi Espa, Koga, Skittles, Dante Victory, CK, Jay, Kyle, Vampiric X, Fresh and Juicy, Assassin, Henzo, Henrique, and Kelvin. I appreciate you guys so much. And thank you everybody who submitted fan art. You can always submit it in the Discord and it'll be put at the end of every video. Thank you for watching. Have a wonderful day.